Hey Astro Kids, and welcome back. And this is my interpretation of what it looks like to have your natal moon in the nakshatra of Anuradha. Let's go ahead and jump right into this. So before we get into this, we first have to understand what the moon represents, and then we have to break down this nakshatra of Anuradha. And just a quick disclaimer that this is not according to your Western tropical position. This will be according to Vedic astrology, which is using the sidereal zodiac. So if you're not familiar with what your sidereal moon sign is, there's a link to a calculator down below in the description so that you have the correct information. The moon is one of the most important grahas in Vedic astrology. The moon is representing your mind. Therefore, the moon represents everything that is happening within your life. The moon is a reflector. It is a projector. Everything that is in your mind becomes a manifestation within your physical reality. In the same way, you are perceiving everything that is happening within your reality. So the moon is projecting what is in your mind and is reflecting everything within your reality. The moon represents your body, your health, your vitality, how you are interacting with others. When people are coming across you and you are making connections, this is the personality that is coming forward. The moon represents your social standings, how you fit into society, how you're able to adapt and relate to others. The moon is also popularity and beauty. The moon is representing the mother, your connection to your mother, what kind of nurturing you need emotionally, what is making you feel emotionally satisfied. The moon is also representing all of the fluid in your body. So it is connected to your water intake. It is connected to your nourishment, all of your needs that need to be met. The moon is a very personal planet that has to do with your emotions, how you react, and how you are responding to situations around you. So, Anuradha means another Radha, a following Radha. Vishaka means Radha, and Anuradha is a following Radha. And so this is another victory. That Vishaka Nakshatra was all about being victorious, about achieving success. And this is another success, a success that comes after, that comes later. And so this is the late success that is found here in Anuradha. Anuradha is called the star of success. And this is symbolized by a lotus. The lotus represents the ability to overcome the obstacles of life and to blossom through the most difficult of circumstances. So despite the odds, despite the difficulties, despite the circumstance, there is an ability to bloom, to rise, to become successful in life. The lotus also represents mystical abilities. It represents deep spiritual wisdom, the mysteries of life, the things that are hidden. This lotus is growing in muddy waters, and so it is all about the things that are concealed, that are contained deep within. Again, we are here in the sign of Scorpio, where Anuradha is falling from 3 degrees 20 minutes till 16 degrees 40 minutes of Scorpio. This is in the heart of Scorpio. And Scorpio is all about the things that are hidden, that are deeper, that are concealed, that have to be found, that have to be dug up. It is all about diving deeper into the mysteries of life, into the unknown. And so this Anuradha Nakshatra is all about the mystical, the esoteric, the deep philosophical wisdom. This is a nakshatra that often is very mysterious, very shy, very secretive, able to conceal and hide a ton of information. These are people who can go under the radar. There is a softness, a sweetness, a shyness about these individuals where they are very much secretive and reserved people. And so this is a very mysterious nakshatra, with this being here in the heart of Scorpio. These are people who often are very honest, who are very forthright in their communication, but they also are very good at keeping secrets. They're very good at dealing with secret information. And so this is a nakshatra that can be connected to spies, detectives, people who are dealing with very sensitive information, hidden information. These are individuals who can be very good at keeping secrets, at containing a ton of information that is hidden away. Again, this is a very mystical nakshatra. And these are individuals who often come across as very sweet, as very kind, very gentle. Again, we're here in this Scorpio sign where this is a water sign. This is very emotional, very deep emotion. And so these are people who are oozing with emotion, with feeling, very gentle, very loving people. However, there is also an intensity to this emotion where these are individuals who can get attached very easily. This is fixed water here in Scorpio, where there can be an obsessiveness, a tendency to overdo things, to get so deeply entrenched in your connections, in your attachments, where you can have difficulty with letting go. And so this can be very challenging where there can be all sorts of addictions, excessiveness, getting too attached, too deeply devoted into relationships to the point of pushing people away with this deep connection, this intense connection with others. This is a very powerful nakshatra. Again, this has the power to go through the difficulties of life, but to still flourish through that. There's a ton of optimism, of faith, of belief that is found within this Scorpio nakshatra. And Anuradha is also represented by a staff, which represents wisdom, maturity. The staff can also be seen as a wizard's wand. So it is representing, again, this mystical, philosophical wisdom that is found here in Anuradha. This also can be a symbol of superiority, again, of old age. There's a deep wisdom here. These are people who come across as old souls, possessing a ton of knowledge and deeper understanding. However, there can be an ego that is attached to this deep wisdom, this deeper understanding, this superiority of this staff, where these individuals can have high morals, high standards. These can be people who are very dogmatic in their beliefs, very controlling in their beliefs, and they can be very egocentric. And sometimes there is a manipulation that is in this nakshatra as well. On the negative side, these can be individuals who are very much about following what is right and standing up for what is right, but they also can break the rules of what is right and can appear to be very sweet, very oblivious to the fact that they have broken these rules. But they are trying to find loopholes, trying to find ways to get around the rules by working within the system of those rules. There is this manipulation factor that is found here within this nakshatra. And so there is a tendency to behave as if one is dumb or foolish or unaware, when actually these are individuals who are very aware. This manipulation factor is seen on the lower side of this Anuradha nakshatra. These are people who are very self-confident, very determined, very purposeful people, very much about succeeding, about achieving greatness. But again, this is the late success. So these are people who tend to take a while to reach this success, who tend to have to go through major obstacles in life to reach this higher level of success. And often this is a nakshatra that achieves success when behaving ethical, when following morals and principles. This takes these individuals to a very high level of success. This is also a very loyal nakshatra. Again, we're here in the heart of Scorpio where there is this fixed water, this deep emotional attachment. And so these are people who are very loyal, who are very devoted within relationships, very loving people, but sometimes getting too deeply involved in relationships to the point of smothering others, to the point of becoming too controlling within relationships, losing yourself completely within this deep emotional attachment. And so there is a need to be discerning, to take your time to actually get to know people before diving so deeply into these intimate connections. This is a nakshatra that is highly sensual. Remember that Scorpio is associated with the 8th house of sex, of intimacy, of shared resources. So this is all about the deeper part of a relationship. And so these are people who are very sensual, very loving, very much about connection. This is a nakshatra that also is very associated with travel. And so there is a tendency to travel a lot, to explore. Again, we're in Scorpio, which is all about diving deeper into the mysteries of life, going into the unknown, exploring. And so these are very curious people. These are very adventurous people who want to learn, who want to travel, who want to gain a deeper understanding. These are people who often come across many opportunities within their lives. They're very blessed, very fortunate people, where often opportunities and people come into their life to help them to succeed, to advance in life. And even though this is a nakshatra that is often very optimistic, that is often very courageous, very self-confident, very faithful, very strong belief systems, these are also individuals who can become very depressed, who can become very unmotivated in life. And so this is a nakshatra that is going through a lot of ups and downs. And this is again associated with the sign of Scorpio being the original 8th house of our zodiac, which is the house of transformation, the house of the sudden ups and downs that we go through in life. And so especially here, for those who have their moon in Anuradha, there can be a tendency to go through many dramatic ups and downs all throughout their lives. And remember that the moon is debilitated in Scorpio because this is where the moon feels the least secure. The moon feels the most secure in the opposite sign of Taurus, where there's that stability, that foundation to stand on. But here in the sign of Scorpio, there is a ton of intense emotional fluctuations happening where the moon feels very uncomfortable here. And so these are individuals who do tend to go through struggles in life, who tend to go through moments of ups and downs. There tends to be moments of great fortune, of great success, and then right after that is followed a huge dip, a huge loss. And so these dramatic swings all throughout the lives of these individuals is very powerful. These are individuals who can become very distraught easily, who can go through a ton of psychological suffering and depression very easily through these dramatic ups and downs. These are people who are highly patient and disciplined individuals. This is a Saturn nakshatra. Our first Saturn nakshatra was in Pushya, and we talked about how Pushya was very traditional, very principled, very patient, very disciplined. We see the same kind of energy occurring here in this Anuradha nakshatra. And so out of all of the sections of Scorpio, this is the most stable. These are individuals who are very patient, who are very disciplined, who are very calculated in their approach in life. And so this gives them a ton of wisdom to have this stability in terms of their approach to life. These are people who often are able to bring chaos into order through these dramatic ups and downs. These are people who, again, can use their softer qualities to their advantage to manipulate a situation, to take advantage. But on the positive side, these are people who use their softer qualities to cooperate with others. These are people who are all about groups, all about connection, all about farming these deep connections with others. Those who are born under Anuradha have a deep understanding of people. They can make excellent leaders who can be very involved within groups and communities. And so these are people who are very much about connecting at a deeper level, understanding others at a deeper level. This is very prominent here in Anuradha. Those who are born under Anuradha also can have difficulties in the earlier part of their lives. Sometimes there is a very dogmatic upbringing. There is some sort of disagreement that is happening in the earlier part of their life. And this often happens around the mother, where there is some kind of challenge with the relationship to the mother, and this often is going to lead to moving away from home. So these are people who can move to foreign places, who can move far away from their residency from a very early age. And again, these are people who love travel. They're always on the move, always looking to explore, always looking to learn, and they are often learning through the difficulties, through the challenges that life throws at them. And this is how they grow. This is how they become stronger, how they become victorious in life. These are people who can go from the most difficult situation in life. They can go from a situation of poverty to becoming famous, successful, wealthy. These are very prominent people. And their sweet qualities, their gentleness, their understanding of people at a deep emotional level often makes them very popular, very well liked by others. And so they can reach success very easily through their connections, through their ability to cooperate with the group, through their ability to accommodate others. And they're very accommodating, very generous, very friendly people. They're very open. They can have a very strong bond and connection with others. Again, these are people who are often connecting with others very quickly. There is a tendency to form these deep emotional attachments very quickly. And this is something that often needs some caution. You need to be very careful about who you are connecting to, who you are trusting under this nakshatra. On the negative side, there also is a tendency to have some resentment, jealousy, anger, all of these intense emotions. Again, we're here in Scorpio where this is all fixed water, where there's this intense feeling that is occurring internally. So these are people who can go through some very negative emotions internally, dealing with jealousy, dealing with resentment, dealing with vengeance here. This can become very ruthless, very dominating, very dogmatic on the lower end of this nakshatra. And relationships are very important to those who are born under Anuradha. These are people who very much, again, are about connecting with people, understanding, relating to people at a deeper level. There is an understanding in this Anuradha nakshatra about being connected as one, this oneness with the collective. So these are people who understand how to relate deeply with others. But again, there are often ups and downs in life. So there is a tendency to lose connections. There's a tendency to find that you are deeply involved in a connection and then it fades away. So there is a tendency to, again, become too smothering or too attached in the connection, which actually pushes others away. So lots of fluctuations happening within relationships. These are people who often come across as very magical. You can see mystics, spiritual teachers who are found under this nakshatra, counselors, people who want to help, people who want to make a difference, who want to support others. Very sharing, very generous people, and they often do this through their deep, profound wisdom. Another term that is used for this nakshatra is a spark of lightning, a small spark. And so these people get this inspiration that comes in, this sudden flash of inspiration, this sudden flash of intuition. These are highly intuitive people who are able to understand the deeper meanings in life, who are able to decode the symbolism, all of the mysteries of life very easily, very much drawn to the esoteric, to the occult. Again, all of this is associated with the sign of Scorpio, which has to do with the hidden knowledge, the deeper knowledge, the things that exist beneath the surface. These are people who also can be very sexual, people who, again, are very sensual, very loving. They're very much about this deep, intense attachment with others. And so there is a tendency to go overboard. Again, these are people who can go to extremes, who can go overboard with their desires, with their attachments. There is a tendency to addiction. And so there is a need to really find a way to stabilize those desires, to really tone down this intensity so that this does not become toxic. Again, we're here in Scorpio with this stinger, where this is all about getting rid of the toxins, releasing what no longer serves you. And so this is a nakshatra, as it falls in Scorpio, that is all about controlling your emotions, getting grips over those deep, intense feelings. These are individuals who are very passionate, very determined, very willful. They often have very large desires in terms of success, accomplishment, and they are able to succeed in great feats. One of the symbols of this nakshatra is the triumphal archway, which is again related back to our previous nakshatra of Vishaka. So these are very powerful people when it comes to succeeding, when it comes to accomplishing their goals. Although this is often something that takes time. Again, this is a Saturn nakshatra, where there is a need for patience. There is a need for being very calculated in your approach. And so sometimes there's also an impatience found in this nakshatra. There can be frustration and anger that is found here that really is about how you are moving towards your goals, finding disappointment, finding upset by things that are not happening as quickly as you want it to is very common here in this nakshatra of Anuradha. These are people who also can be very creative, very talented. You can find writers, singers, journalists, people who are involved in technical work. You can find people working in computers, working in labs, scientists, all sorts of people who are very intelligent and gifted, born under this nakshatra of Anuradha. These are people who also can sometimes be attracted to those who have difficulties. So sometimes you can find yourself attracting those who you think that you can help. But this can lead to some heartbreaks and difficulties. There is a tendency to attract those who need some kind of counseling support. Others tend to look to Anuradha individuals for counseling. They tend to look towards them for inspiration. But there's sometimes a tendency to take on people who don't want to help themselves, who don't actually want to do the work, and so end up failing through this attempt to help those people. So this can be very difficult, very traumatic here within this nakshatra. There's also a tendency here to become very much enraged when ignored by others. There is a desire to have attention from others, to receive something from others. Again, all about these deep emotional attachments. So when others are not responding, when others are disconnected from you, there is a tendency to become very angry, very vengeful towards others. Now, each nakshatra has 4 padas or 4 quarters. So we can take this 13-degree, 20-minute nakshatra and break it up into 4 3-degree, 20-minute sections. And the first section is falling from 3 degrees, 20 minutes till 6 degrees, 40 minutes of Scorpio. And this is a Leo Navamsa. And so here we can see very strong leadership skills. These are people who are very much about groups, are very much about communities, leading people, inspiring people. These are excellent leaders. Sometimes on the negative side, there can be a lot of ego and pride that is found within this first quarter. This can be a very arrogant part of this nakshatra, where there can be a tendency to become controlling, dogmatic, forceful towards others. But for the most part, these are people who often are very inspiring, who are able to shine their light out to others. There's also a strong creativity that is found within this first pada. So these are individuals who can be involved in acting, music, and all sorts of areas of life where they are showcasing their talents to the world. In the second part of this nakshatra, the second quarter is falling under a Virgo Navamsa, and so there tends to be more of a focus on intelligence. These are people who have huge ideas, who are very curious, who want to learn and gather a ton of information. And these are individuals who also tend to be very social, very friendly, very much about connecting with others. And so there's a need to relate to others. There's a need to have relationships within this second quarter. And there can be difficulties around any kind of losses within those connections, becoming very depressed, very distraught, very much going into this negative mood when feeling this loss and detachment from others. But these are people who often are very inspiring, who give hope to others, who are very informative. They have a ton of wisdom and information to share with the world. Those who are born under the third quarter of Anuradha are falling under a Libra Navamsa. And so these are people who are very spiritual, who are very philosophical, who are very much about learning, gathering information. They are all about traveling, and there can be a tendency to move to a foreign place within this third quarter. These are individuals who are also highly romantic, always chasing love and romance. These are people who can have a tendency to fall in and out of relationships very quickly. Again, there's a need to balance out your relationships, the extremes of life. This is a part of this nakshatra that can lead to addiction, to overindulgence, to being too materialistic, too drawn to the sensual pleasures of life. Those who are born under the fourth quarter of Anuradha are falling under a Scorpio Navamsa. And so this is for Gautama. This is a double Scorpio influence, very intense. These are people who are very self-confident, who have a ton of passion, a ton of strength, and these are individuals who often go through a lot of extremes all throughout their lives, constantly transforming, constantly undergoing dramatic changes and deep emotional experiences. These are people who have a ton of emotion within them and can, on the negative side, become very tumultuous, very intense with their emotional expression. These can be difficult people to be around at times when they become moody and unstable. But these are individuals who also are extremely loyal. They are very attached and connected to their loved ones. They are all about their family, all about their connections. This is very important to those who are falling under this fourth quarter. And these are individuals who also are very sweet, who are very kind-hearted, who are very much about caring for others, very healing, often counselors, psychologists, people who are out looking to help others, looking to make a difference, looking to not only change themselves through these personal transformations, but to also transform the lives of others.